In this lesson, we'll cover material takeoff schedules. So typically, a material takeoff schedule shows you more information in regards to the material in other areas than a normal schedule would actually show. But in MEP, if you're wanting to create a material takeoff schedule for a system, unfortunately, the material takeoff capability is only geared toward components. So we can still create a material takeoff schedule, but it can't be of a system. For example, I could go to the View tab, then on the Create panel, I can click the drop down and I could choose Material Takeoff. If I choose Material Takeoff, I could set my system, and as long as any of these components have a material assigned, I can use it within the takeoff schedule. However, maybe I'd like a material takeoff schedule of piping, and I would like to see the type of pipe, the length of pipe, and an overall total of length and maybe cost, and view it by system and by type or by family. Well, to do that, I don't have to technically use the material takeoff schedule. I can accomplish the same thing with a normal pipe schedule. So let's go ahead and click Cancel, and we'll look at creating that type of schedule. So now let's go back to View tab again, to the Create panel, to the Schedule dropdown, and choose just Schedule Quantities. Verify the list is filtered to piping, and then scroll down and choose the category for pipes. The name on the right will read Pipe Schedule, but you could rename that to Material Takeoff Schedule or Pipe Takeoff Schedule, however you wanted to depict what the schedule name is. In this case, I'm just typing Pipe Material Takeoff Schedule. Schedule by building components, and the phase will be new construction. Click OK. Now, the first thing Revit wants us to do is define what do we want in this schedule, field-wise. Well, let's start out by choosing the family and type. We'll add that. After I choose the family and type, maybe I'd like to also include some information about the actual pipe system. So I'm going to scroll down and choose System Name. That'll tell me what system the pipe belongs to. Now, after that, maybe I'd like to know some other information about the pipe system or the pipe segments, such as maybe length. So I'll select Length and add Length. The other information that I want to include could be, let's say, the inside diameter and maybe the outside diameter. And lastly, if I wanted to sort on, let's say, material, such as copper or PVC, I want to add material. So I'll select Material and add Material. Next, what I want to do is I want to change or set a sort and grouping format. So let's click the Sorting Grouping tab. And what I'm first going to do is sort by material. I'm going to choose header on the left so that way it displays the header of whatever material it is. And I'll choose a blank line on the right to actually separate horizontally the groups by material. The second sort then, I'm going to list by system name. And again, I'll choose header on the left, but I'm not going to put a blank line between these. On the very bottom, I'm going to choose grand totals. This will add up the columns that I tell it to. For example, let's say length, I can add up that length of column. Go to Formatting tab. Here's where I can set the actual Calculate Totals variable. So if I go down to the length field, on the very bottom, I can choose Calculate Totals. Now, since we're sorting by material, you probably don't want to see the material name repeated over and over again. So I could choose Material, and I could choose Hide Field, so it doesn't display that over and over again. We don't need to see that column. Now, if you want to include costs as well, if costs were factored in or entered into each of these components, you could enter in a field for cost. So let's go back to the Fields tab, select Cost, and add it. Now, if you want to move cost above material, just select Cost and choose Move Up. So right now, we're going to create a schedule that looks like this that includes material. It's going to be sorted by material, then sorted by system name, and it's going to total up the fields for length and also for the number of items within the table. If you did calculate cost and you want a total cost, go back to the Formatting tab, select Cost, and at the very bottom, choose Calculate Totals. Finally, click OK. This will then produce your pipe material takeoff schedule showing the actual pipes by material, as I can see copper, then by actual system, domestic cold water. And then because I chose to list all of the instances, it's listing all of the instances, showing the length, inside and outside diameter, and if there was a cost associated. And I see the actual extra space in between the actual two sorts, the material and also the system family. And if I scroll all the way to the bottom, I'll see my totals based on me telling the system to total the overall length and the overall cost. So as a review, in this lesson, we looked at material takeoff schedules. We looked at a traditional material takeoff schedule being created by view and then material takeoff. We know that that material takeoff schedule can be created on any component that has a material associated to it. But the takeoff schedule can only be done with components, not systems. So if I wanted to make a material takeoff schedule for systems or to show me the material or costs of a system, we could just use a normal schedule table. And that's what we did in our example by making a pipe material takeoff schedule by creating a schedule based on pipes, adding fields for the family type, system, length, and diameter and costs, telling it to actually sort by material and by system, and then also to total the actual fields for length and cost.